Today, the latest on the Daunte Wright case, and the Democrats establish a fund so families of deceased COVID victims could receive up to $9,000. What could possibly go wrong there? We've got a lot coming up, and it starts right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. I'm Sarah Gonzalez, today joined by my good friend, Jaco Booyens, host of the Jaco Booyens Show.
I like the camo.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. You can see me?
I see you.
Okay. That's a dad joke that I heard. I just had to pass it on from my husband.
I see your face, not your body.
There you go. There you go. And just my arms hanging out. Also joined by Jason Buttrell, chief researcher of the Glenn Beck program. Thank you for being here as well. We do have a gray army green camo vibe going on, all of us.
The memo finally circulated all throughout.
Yeah, thank you for paying attention to my memo. All right, so let's get into the headlines of the day. Jaco, I think you were here Monday when we discussed all of the details of the Daunte Wright case. We're just breaking. By the way, we did get into yesterday. I said, as of the time of the taping on Monday, the officer's information was not released. So I know the last time you were here, I think it was just, you kind of assume police officers are going to be men.
I refer to it as a man.
Yeah. And
I didn't know.
After that, the details were released. It is a woman, so we are aware that it is a woman now that the details have been released. But Kim Potter, the woman, the police officer, who was the one who fatally shot 20-year-old Daunte Wright, has resigned from her job. She is to be charged over the killing. So she was arrested today and is going to be, or it has been charged with second-degree manslaughter. Now this, of course, is after body camera footage surfaced. Second-degree manslaughter, yes.
They're being very willy-nilly with some of these charges, just like the Chauvin one, where it seems like they're going even a step beyond what they should be going.
Yeah, so let me say what second-degree manslaughter in Minnesota is applicable when authorities allege a person caused someone's death by, quote, culpable negligence, whereby the person creates an unreasonable risk and consciously takes chances of causing death or great bodily harm to another.
Can I translate that? So basically, if you're driving your car and you accidentally clip somebody and hit them and kill them in your car, you're going to get charged for manslaughter. If you were driving 110 down the street doing it, you'd get second-degree manslaughter, probably.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so then let's talk about this, because from the footage that surfaced, from the body cam footage, it really indicates that she had no idea that that's what she had done until afterwards. Oh my God, I shot him. So it's hard for me to believe how you could prove second-degree manslaughter. Am I missing something, or is that your thoughts as well?
No, I think you're exactly right, and that's like I think that's why they're having a hard time in the Chauvin case right now, as well. Yeah. It almost seems like, I mean, I know what it seems like what they're trying to do is really show that, hey, we're really putting a stop to this. You know, and we're really coming down on police brutality and all that stuff. But they're going over the fact. Or they're just setting up the fact that it's going to get overturned anyway, and you're going to have chaos and
create more division.
Exactly. And it's always, over-negotiate, because they understand she's going to have a legal team, and they're going to come down, and they're going to have to bargain down. But there's a statement within that statement that I think we need to look at. They definitely, I think that the second scenario you're referring to is probably more likely what it is.
Especially in the Chauvin case with people like Keith Ellison, that withheld the footage, the full footage, so that people wouldn't see all the other context of him fighting back and acting crazy. Like, so why did you do that? Why did you do that and push for second degree, or what was it? Second degree murder in that case, I believe? Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But in this case right here, she absolutely should be fired or stepped down.
Well, she did. She resigned.
Yeah, which I'm in complete agreement with that. She shouldn't be doing that job. Shouldn't be. If you make a mistake like that, if I made a mistake, I added in some four-letter words into a script, I'm getting fired. Yeah, there's no excuse for this. She wasn't trained enough to be in that job, and she absolutely should be charged with, I would have thought, just regular manslaughter. It doesn't seem like she wasn't going excessively,
No, but there's evidence this time, and it was released, not to interrupt you, sorry, in the previous case, right, they wouldn't release footage because they knew it would make a second-degree claim, have to be baseless. Here there's evidence of her yelling, taser, 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 shoots him and goes, didn't know. So I think But again, at this point in time, to your first point, they're going to throw the book at anything because they're going to overcompensate. Well, because of the mob and what the mob's demanding, and they're placating to the craziness of our country at this point.
I agree, and right now the justice system seems like it's split into two justice systems.
Yeah.
Coincidentally, today, Ashley Babbitt's, the officer that shot Ashley Babbitt, he is not going to be charged for that. Now, you would think they would at least look into that a little bit more. If this was a BLM or Antifa, person, then there would be just they would be going crazy right now. Now, I don't know the full specifics of that, but I do know. Like, I've heard people compare, the Floyd and Chauvin thing as being more excessive, and that's why he's, why he was charged and he's going through the system. In this one, they're saying it wasn't as excessive, and I'm like, well, wait a minute. Well, Chauvin was not trying to kill George Floyd.
Right.
He was not trying. He was trying to manage a hostile person.
Which you
and
can
a hostile
tell,
crowd.
Because there were people filming him, and he's just up there. Like, he very clearly did not know he was killing the guy. You wouldn't do that in front of a bunch of people in broad daylight while they were filming you.
But the person that shot Ashley Babbitt, there's only one reason to shoot someone, and it's to kill them.
Right.
But Jason, death is death. You kill somebody, you kill somebody. So which one is worse? More excessive, less excessive, but it's the intent. The law points to intent. And much of our law and really world law is written according to intent. What was the intent? This is where you get first degree to premeditated murder, et cetera, et cetera. So what was the intent? Was it her intention? And this is where they push. It's a white woman, so her intention must have been racially charged. And it's a presumption they're making that's total bogus. And that's why I think they throw the book at these things. And it's one-sided. If you look at most of these cases, it's one-sided. If you get a white kid shot today, and it happens to be a black police officer, it's going to be silence. You're not going to hear anything in the media, and they're not going to question intent. They're not going to question whether he was racially charged. Not at all. So it's an unbalanced judicial system we have at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's two separate judicial systems. This case right now no one should even know about this. They really shouldn't. This is a case that should have been local news. There should have been a lot of local coverage, within the city, but this shouldn't have been national. Yeah. This was a mistake, is what this was. It was a mistake, and she needs to be held accountable for it. Absolutely, but it was a mistake.
So let me ask you this then, because I think we're all in agreement that it shouldn't have happened, that the training that they undergo should root out the people who are going to be too jumpy, too quick to draw, are you not in agreement about that?
You can train as much as you can. You can hope that people react that way, but I've been on the front lines in firefights, and people that are the most trained in the country freeze up and literally pee themselves because they can't help it.
And just for some context, and this is not to victim shame, but just the context surrounding the situation. Daunte Wright apparently had an outstanding warrant linked to a prior arrest for attempted robbery. He allegedly choked a woman and held her at gunpoint. So have you guys seen? I have not seen it say whether or not. I mean, surely when you're going to pull someone over, you pull it out. You see they have an outstanding warrant. Perhaps you see what it's for. Yeah. Maybe that made her more jumpy because she saw that what he had done, the details of the situation.
Well, if you think of the pursuit, right? You look at the whole, from the moment they lay eyes on him and the pursuit. There was definitely, my opinion, enough time to run the plate, find out.
Yeah, we don't know how much she knew.
Could it have played into it? Sure, if she knew it would have played into it.
And again, it's still no excuse.
No, it's not. And a life was lost, and no life should be lost. But still, is she a 26-year veteran, I think?
Yeah, it's a
26-year veteran. This is not a rookie police officer.
Yeah, 26 years.
Jason. This is 26 years. How long do you have to be in the force? And to Jason's point, in the heat of that moment, this is where I say, with the training comment, the situational training is not there. How do you mimic this situation in training to apply that kind of pressure on a human being with all the different trifecta of circumstances to say, now make the right decision? This is why you're saying guys get in the gunfight and they freeze and they pee themselves, because how do you prepare for it? You think you're ready for that situation. It's a bad cocktail. It's bad. It was negligence. It was a mistake. Unfortunately, a life was lost.
Couple points. This is why you don't defund the police.
Correct.
They need more funds to go through this extra training that Jaak was talking about. The less money they get to prepare for these situations, the worse and worse it's going to get. So they need more money. Not more money does not mean tons of weapons and militarized stuff. It just means pretty much for everything, but a lot needs to go towards training. And I had another point, but I lost it.
Well, that's okay, because to that point, I would just like to let's go ahead and play this clip of Brooklyn Center Mayor Mike Elliott, who, as you recall yesterday, he did away with the city manager for making the controversial statement that the officer should have due process when it comes to this trial. He said, you know what, you got to go. You can't be giving officers due process in this day and time. He says that cops don't really necessarily need to even be armed during traffic stops. Watch.
I don't believe that officers need to necessarily have weapons, every time they're making a traffic stop.
Oh my gosh.
Or engaged in situations that don't necessarily call for weapons. We know that there are many other jurisdictions, or even around the world, where that is not, necessarily the case. It's not needed.
So, to your point, Jason, let's not talk about defunding the police, even though Rashida Tlaib says we don't need police. We don't need policing.
Course,
I think Obama made similar comments. This is kind of from the radical left. Now we're getting this push to abolish policing, abolish the police force. And now we're being told they don't necessarily need to be armed during traffic stops. Gee, I can't imagine the potential candidates we will get for police officers to join the force, knowing that they cannot protect themselves, not knowing at all what they're going to walk into when they stop someone.
Now I have 2 more points. Okay. I won't forget the second one this time. Point number 1, if you don't normally wear a baseball cap, you probably shouldn't wear a baseball cap. Like mayors, presidents, stop wearing the baseball cap.
Yeah, he just threw that on at the last minute. You could tell. He's wearing a suit and then like a baseball cap that does not even fit his head. That's fair. This is the news and why it matters. So thank you, Jason, for that insightful commentary.
That's what matters. If you take nothing else from today, that right there.
Right.
But second, ask any cop anywhere in any city, any town, whatever, I don't care how big or small it is, what's the most dangerous part of their job? It is when they get out of their vehicle and walk over from behind to that car. That is the most dangerous time.
Which, to that particular point, a Burleson police officer here in the Dallas area was just shot multiple times during a traffic stop. They just found the guy, and it was a man suspected in a fatal carjacking. So the officer made the stop at 4:15 a.m. He approached the passenger side of the car, and he got shot at.
Yeah. So exactly how will the officer know whether this is a potentially dangerous traffic stop or not? Whether they should have weapons? To the mayor's point, number one, all I could hear when the mayor was talking is he wants Paul Blart, the mole cop, to become our police, that has nothing and has a stick and a whistle, How do you know you're not stopping an MS-13 member?
Right.
Or, a car with a trunk full of cash and guns, and it's insanity.
Well,
it's insane speech.
It is. And Jason, so just because you're more familiar with this type of thing, aren't you always kind of in a vulnerable position when you're a police officer and you're getting out of your car, walking up from behind another car over to, how could you ever have the upper hand in that situation to make sure that you could see what you're walking into? It feels like you can't.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's why it's deemed the most dangerous time for a police officer. Traffic stops are extremely dangerous. And as you pointed out, many of them do, get shot or bad things happen.
You don't know what you're walking
into. I know. Policing is insanely, it's insanely dangerous.
Well, that's why we should just not have it.
And it's also why when you get pulled up by an officer, they turn a huge flashlight on you because there is a blinding effect. It's some sort of cover, but there's no cover. This is a sitting duck walking, right? With someone in a car sitting can have all kinds of premeditated nonsense that they want to get up to. We've seen officers being run over, put in the car in reverse and run them over, or let the officer, who knows, get shot this morning. So it's, that kind of insane talk gets people hurt.
This whole Dante Wright, that's his name?
Yes.
This whole story really pisses me off. Because again, I just want to make that point again. This should not be a national news story. It really shouldn't. It should be a local news story. But the media is piling on to like the local activism or the national activism, like with BLM and all that. They are stoking this fire. Yeah. It is crazy dangerous out there for cops right now. Yeah. In any capacity. My wife just went to Los Angeles to see our stepdaughter, and her husband is a cop. And he had like those like blue flag hats. and my wife was going to put it on when they were going out shopping, and he was like, probably shouldn't do that around here. There's been some incidents when they find out we're police officers in public. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Screw that. I'm wearing the hat then.
Well, yeah, I know, right? She said the same thing.
Exactly. I'm going to support you guys.
That's how bad it is.
That's bad.
They have to hide in plain sight.
And the media knows what they're doing, playing into that.
It's by design.
Yeah, it absolutely is. All right, we've got more to come. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Home Title Theft. So if you have not yet heard what home title theft is, consider yourself lucky, because that means it has not happened to you. So home title theft occurs when cyber thieves remove you from your home's title, because everything is found online now, including your home's title. So they go in, they forge your signature on a quitclaim deed, and they make themselves the new owner of your home. And that means all of your retirement nest egg that you've probably been, you're putting all of this equity in your home every month. All of that is completely gone. All right. And now you may be thinking at this point, if it happens to you, well, I have an identity theft program and I have this bank program that I'm sure will protect me. No, it doesn't. All right. And you are going to be on the hook for a lot of expenditures unless you have Home Title Lock. Home Title Lock is going to put a barrier around your home's title and mortgage, and the minute that they detect someone tampering with it, they will shut it down. So the only way you are going to know if this has happened to you yet before it is too late, I'm telling you guys, you got to go to HometitleLock.com, register your address. You will register your address just to see if you are already a victim. And then in the event that you're really going to need this help. You can sign up for 30 free days of protection during this high-risk breach. Again, you can go to HometitleLock.com. Use promo code RADIO. It is HometitleLock.com. Let them help you through the crisis with promo code RADIO. Back in a minute. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and, of course, our favorite Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez yesterday announced a new program established with FEMA. And the program allows Americans to apply for financial assistance for COVID-related funeral costs. So you probably have some questions. And I'm not going to say she has any answers for you, but here is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez explaining the COVID fund.
Here's what families need to know. Your loved one should have COVID on their death certificate, anywhere listed on their death certificate, either as the primary or contributing cause of death. In those early days, though, we know that so many people, we didn't know what was COVID and what wasn't. And so there are several options available here. One is that you can go back to the institution that issued the death certificate, the hospital, the physician, etc., and you can have your death certificate edited in retrospect, knowing what we know now about COVID. God. So if your loved one's death certificate does not have COVID listed, you can have it put in.
What could possibly go wrong here, everyone? And let me just add these eligibility requirements. The death must have occurred in the United States, including U.S. territories. The death certificate must indicate the death was attributed to COVID-19. The applicant must be a U.S. citizen, non-citizen national, or qualified alien who incurred funeral expenses. And there is no requirement for the deceased person to have been a U.S. citizen, non-citizen national, or qualified alien. So there you have it.
So the reason...
What could possibly go wrong?
As you would say, the reason Ms. Cortez knows that this will work is that's exactly what they did in the election. You just retroactively go in and just change the numbers. That's no problem. It wasn't COVID, or have they been doing this all along with the numbers? Motorcycle deaths, COVID death. This just speaks to what they believe should be normal. You should be allowed to go back in history and just change history. Now I wonder, can you go back and maybe change a death certificate on someone where the insurance wouldn't pay out and now insurance in normal circumstances would pay out? Could you go, no, it's only in COVID and in the election. In those two situations when we control them, no problem. We go back in history and we take an eraser and we just change them. And then we're all good, Jason. We're just all good. Money's going to flow like water, okay? The taxpayer is going to pay. You don't even know who's going to line up. And just say, sorry, excuse me, Dr. So-and-so, backhand pay. Can you just make a quick...
Well, it's like those motorcycle accidents that we read about last year that were like, this man who crashed his motorcycle died from COVID-19.
They're spending so much...
of COVID-19, with COVID-19.
They're spending so much money. I don't even, it's just absolute madness. I mean, between the infrastructure, all the other COVID relief bills.
Well, you can just print more, Jason. You can just print more if you run out.
Yeah. Inflation's not a problem whatsoever.
No, not at all.
I don't understand how, if people already died, but they think they might have COVID, are they exhuming the body and somehow test it? How are they?
Well, I don't know. Is the government paying for that too?
I would assume. I would assume so, right? Because they're paying for everything else. That's just stupid. Like, I mean, we already know that if you had COVID but you died of something else, they still write COVID down on the death certificate. Yeah. So there's not going to be too many people that died within that time frame that don't already have COVID on there. But COVID is ridiculous in its symptoms. Like, it basically has every single symptom from every single sickness or disease that was ever.
Well, if you noticed, they started out with a very specific set, and then they started adding more. Right? They started adding more. So then they were like, oh, gastrointestinal stuff. Oh, that also could be linked to COVID. And then all of a sudden, after several months passed, then it was the plethora that you're talking about.
My mom called me and she's like, yeah, we think your brother might have it. And I was like, really? And she's like, yeah, he's been throwing up all night. I'm like, that's what? That's not a symptom. She goes, no, we just checked it. It's updated. It was like literally every single day they were putting something else on there.
Yeah, you would be sick with.
So I'm assuming if you had a loved one that died during that time, you could say, yeah, they had a runny nose and they had diarrhea.
Yeah. COVID. There you go.
Here's your
$9,000. Unbelievable. All right. On the subject of COVID, let me get to this one as well. University of Michigan deactivated campus access cards of more than 700 students this week over their failure to take the required coronavirus tests. So they're locking people out from campus because obviously you need the card to enter any of the buildings on campus. Locking people out because they would not go take their COVID test. That's where we come. And by the way, I did see most colleges and universities are also going to require the vaccine. Because this is, college kids are so affected by this virus.
Oh yeah, they're the prime,
they're the vulnerable group,
yeah, they're the vulnerable
right?
ones. We're creating just like the two-tier justice system we talked about. There's a two-tiered social structure that we're creating right now. Whether it's passports for the vaccine or if it's testing, like in this case. There's going to be a point where if you don't agree with vaccinating, getting vaccinated, which I don't see why anyone would have an issue with that. Johnson & Johnson. If you have any questions on that, you're going to be in the other tier, right? You're going to be the ones that are denied doing normal social things. That
there was an island that evacuated only people who had been vaccinated from they had a volcano, and they were like, we're only evacuating the people who have been vaccinated from COVID.
This is insanity. It sounds hilarious, but this is where we're going. Yeah. It really is. And once they've adapted that just for coronavirus, it can be adapted for pretty much anything at all. We've been talking about ESG stuff. You're not woke enough. Yeah. You tweeted this, whatever. The vaccine passport really, really scares the crap out of me because at any point, once this becomes like a standard, it can be adopted for anything.
Oh, it's the chip, it's the implant, it's the tracking device, it's the you can't pay for anything unless you pay with your hand. It's just progressively. This is the setup. To get there, you gotta do this. You already have people tattooing their, saying, "I'll tattoo the vaccine passport on my hand and on my." It's insane. This is happening. No, this is happening. But I want to say this: you want to tell me the kid that pays north of 50? Let's just be kind to these Ivy League insane institutions. The kid who pays $50,000 a year, who pays to go to school, who's paying to be there. You're now going to tell him that you also need to take the vaccine in order to come claim what you paid for. I say screw all of it.
And take the test. All of
exactly.
it.
I say get out of these institutions, make them hurt where it counts, money. Don't go there. Go to the smaller schools, go to community colleges, get a trade degree. The only reason you go to college today is if you want to be a doctor. And then I say go do it somewhere else. Stop feeding the system because there is a two-tiered system. It's already here. And I'm on the other side, okay? I am the anti-vaxxer, won't take the vaccine. I'll stab the doctor with the needle if he comes at me, okay?
Gosh, wow.
This is it. This is it. You can't make me do nothing because I'm not a puppet. And I want Americans to get to a place where they go, I don't dance for nobody, for nothing. That's it. I serve one God, and it ain't this government. And it's not my governor that sits and decides when he wants to do something with chutzpah or not, okay? I just need Americans to step up, Jason, because it'll never stop. You think this is something? Wait until they come out with Elon Musk's crazy idea of tapping into your brain or, putting in, neurotransmitters in. And this is where they'll go. It's a population control, and they get there when you give them the pinky.
If they do make us do vaccine tattoos, will you go in with me and get the lower back tattoo?
Oh,
The lower
my
back
See what you do
tattoo.
there? Yeah. The stamp.
You're going to get the tramp stamp. Jason,
You don't want my
tramp
answer.
stamp.
If it had to be a vaccine tattoo, I mean, that's what I'm getting.
I'm not getting the vaccine tattoo,
Sarah didn't
Jason.
like my answer about the needle and the doctor.
No, I did.
You want to see what I do to that tattoo artist? Okay, you're tattooing nothing. You're not
There you go.
tattooing nothing or nowhere on my body.
You don't want to know where he's going to stick that tattoo
Yeah.
thing. All right, we have to take a
Come
break. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Built Bar. So apparently I've created a bunch of monsters within a lot of you because I keep getting messages and they're like, Sarah, I really love you, but now I'm addicted to Built Bar and I can't stop buying them. Well, welcome to my life because that is exactly what happened to me. Those of you who are not in the know, Built Bar is a protein bar, but the problem, which is really not a problem, is that they taste like a candy bar because they are made from real chocolate. But they've got the high protein, they've got the low calories, they've got the low carbs and high in fiber. So it's all really healthy. It's just that you can't stop eating them, and then you have to keep buying more. They come in a variety of flavors: mint brownie, cookies and cream. I really love the chocolate chip cookie dough. And they've got these Built Puffs that are really, really delicious as well. So if you're looking for something to snack on that is way healthier than a candy bar but still tastes delicious, maybe you've got a sweet tooth that you want to make sure to indulge but not actually expand your waistline, go to BuiltBar.com. Use promo code NEWS15. You'll get 15% off of your order. It is NEWS15 at Built Bar. That is BUILT, BuiltBar.com. Promo code NEWS15. Project Veritas released a new video yesterday that showed a CNN technical director, Charlie Chester, what a name, Charlie Chester, admitting that the network worked to get President Donald Trump out of office and that the network creates propaganda, that was the word he used, on issues that they know little about. Now, I'm sure there are a lot of you out here who are not shocked at all, but I would just like to use this as an opportunity. We're going to play the clip for you, and you can use this as an opportunity to say, I told you so to all of the people who called you a conspiracy theorist for saying that the mainstream media is biased and had it in to just throw Trump out of office, which is what they're admitting, exactly what they did. Okay, go.
Trump was, I don't know, his hand was shaking or whatever like that. We brought in so many medical people to all tell a story that it was all speculation, that he was neurological damage, that he was losing it, he's unfit to, whatever. We were creating a story there that we didn't know anything about. I think there's just a COVID fatigue. So whenever a new story comes up, they're going to latch onto it. They've already announced in her office that once the public will be open to it, we're going to start focusing mainly on climate. It's going to be our focus. Our focus was to get Trump out of office, right? Without saying it, that's what it was, right? So our next thing is going to be for climate change awareness.
We're still awaiting comment from Mr. Potato Head himself, the estrogen-filled Brian Stelter, on the latest comments from CNN technical director Charlie Chester. I, for one, am shocked. Shocked, I tell you. If I had pearls, I would clutch them. Yeah. That CNN, oh my gosh, we're hearing that they were trying to get Trump out of office all along. Who could have told you that?
We thought this was beyond their honor code.
Yes, they're just here report. An apple is an apple.
Yes.
This is a banana. This is an apple. I thought they were all about the facts.
You know what? I sometimes like Project Veritas and sometimes I don't like them. I think I'm going to have maybe a weird take on this.
That's okay.
But I really...
You can send hate mail to Jason Buttrell at theblaze.com. That's not a real...
How dare you? No, I think they've done a lot of good stuff. They exposed Antifa. They've been exposing stuff for a long time. Even a lot of their recent stuff has been really, really good. The stuff where they've been gone after CNN, I've only liked one or two things. One of them was, I think it was actual audio from Zucker. That
was great. In the conference call?
Yeah, in the conference call.
So
that was great.
Good.
That was good, yeah.
That was good. Now, there was another one with they seem like little kids that work there. They were very young. They got outed. I'm sure they lost their job. If not, they were ostracized and made to sweep floors for the rest of their time. They could have been some of the only good people that would work there. This guy right here is in that same ballpark. He was just outed, so he's probably going to lose his job, right? If not, again, he's going to be put way down so that he's not around anything. He's a technical director. So basically he's saying take one, take two in the control room. Now he's not an executive producer. If he was an executive producer, expose them. Have them say that, because as you said,
he's not a decision maker, truly.
He's not a decision maker. So we need to hear from the executive producers. That's how. So all of us and everyone listening and watching right now, this is obviously not surprising. This is stuff we already know. They're completely discredited.
You just want the people who are in charge of that to go down,
right? Because the people that we need to see this are the ones that have been, indoctrinated. They believe the propaganda. They think they're an unbiased, news agency. We need to convince them so that they can wake up, and so there can be more outrage to organizations like CNN that pretend to be walking down the middle. That's what we need to identify. But now this guy, he seems like a good dude, right? Now he's going to be out of the company.
How do you know that he wasn't just like telling someone, but wasn't in total agreement with it?
Well, to me, when I watched it, it sounded like he wasn't in total agreement with it, because he was blatantly calling them out. I mean, it sounded like he was saying, yeah, this is. I don't know that, but that's what it sounded like.
He could have just been leveling with someone like, yeah, this is what we did.
Someone he thinks that he trusts.
Exactly.
And to your point, you're saying, hey, because the FBI is corrupt at the top, it doesn't mean every agent down below is corrupt. And so let's use fair practice here. And where's the human element? You don't want collateral damage. This is a guy that's now going to lose his job and his kids. And you could say, well, because you work for CNN, you're in that basket, and you knowing this, you should have come out later. It's tricky because he is talking to somebody. He doesn't know he's being filmed. He thinks he's talking to probably a friend or someone he can trust, or I don't know, but he definitely didn't know he was being filmed. So I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. How do you not know this is absolutely what he believes? And he's just leveling with somebody to get it off his conscience, right? To just say, hey, you know what? I got off my conscience. So it's tricky. I mean,
even if that's the case, you're not moving the needle here. No. Because everybody on our side,
and that's why I said this is it's vindication for all of us who said that it was going on. It certainly isn't changing minds and hearts. No, for sure.
But if it's what I'm saying, if he is a normal person, what you just did is you probably shifted that network even further down the bad line. You know what I'm saying? Because they're going to get somebody more ideological. Because when you go and apply for most of these companies, you do have to take an ideological test. If you want to go to work at Fox News, they're going to have you write like an essay or something like that on your political beliefs. I'm sure that's with MSNBC and all of them.
No question.
Now what you're doing is you're going to get more ideological, grounded people on the left working in those
his
companies.
Position will now be filled with an absolute radical.
Absolutely,
right? An absolute radical. And then that's just, it's almost like they're saying, well, thank you, James. Okay, thank you, James, for showing us who potentially could be a mole internally, so we can replace that person with another radical. That's why I like the normal way of doing undercover work, which we work, for instance, is the source does not get named. You don't oust the source. Wouldn't it be more powerful to have that guy stay inside CNN and say, keep bringing the information? That's where I don't like what they do at times. Right?
Expose the audio.
Expose the audio, right? But the video, if he was a good guy, and that's where I would say, sit with him and go, are you willing to stay in undercover and keep and work your way in and get us more juicy stuff? I look at this as a base hit. It's a short win. It's not a home run. You're not going to put points on the board this way.
So let me ask you this then, Jason. Is there any sort of video clip, admittance, whatever, that could surface that you think would change people's minds?
Yes. A content, someone in charge of the content, like the content creators, like an executive producer, even a producer, would work.
You think that people who watch CNN every day, if they heard an executive producer say, obviously we wanted to get Trump out of office, you think that they would stop watching CNN? Because I don't. I think they're already so far down the rabbit hole in the cult that it doesn't matter what anyone says.
I'll disagree.
They know what they're watching.
I'll agree on some level, but I think there's a very large percentage of the country that's in the middle and really doesn't know what to believe, because they're torn both directions. Okay. Both sides are saying, no, they're wrong, no, they're wrong. But they're in the middle. They're like, the Reagan Democrats, and they're saying, I don't know.
But that would be James's position, O'Keefe. That would be Project Veritas' position. So it doesn't matter who it is, C-suite, producer, or lower level. If we could just tell those in the middle that, hey, this is an internal CNN guy, hopefully we can move that. That's where I think they see how they move the needle, right? Yeah. I just like for the guy to stay in and say, bring more.
Right.
Let's bring the whole treasure trove to
if I sound kind of off, like you didn't think that my response was going to be like that, is because I'm very, very frustrated with the right now. We're not fighting like we should be fighting. We need to be fighting smarter. I used to not be for boycotts. I'm all about the boycotts right now. The Ben & Jerry's thing, boycott the crap out of them. I mean, the left, the reason that they have screwed over and basically taken over culture by force is by doing this stuff. It's time to hand it right back to them.
Yeah, it's time to fight fire with fire.
I agree 1,000% with you.
But by the way, it's not like, I don't even know that you have to call it a boycott. Like, I'm just voting with my dollars, right? I'm choosing who I want.
Semantics.
But that is a boycott.
No. Well, it's not, but it's a personal boycott. I'm not like calling everyone I know saying, hey, you need to boycott these places. I'm just saying, like, hey, I'm choosing not to shop here. Because a lot of people are calling it canceling, too. Oh, you're just canceling people. I thought you conservatives were against that. I'm like, I'm not canceling anybody because I'm choosing not to shop there, you idiot.
Yeah.
All right.
Good point.
We got more. Back in a minute.
Good point. That is true. It's not an organized.
Yeah, I don't think it's a boycott. Because you know why? We don't have time for that crap. All right, we're just sitting here arguing off air. I guess we'll move on.
It's not an argument. It's a debate.
We'll move on.
It's a debate.
Okay, so this week, Facebook announced that they will be expanding the powers of their controversial oversight board. So the objective panel will now be accepting appeals from users regarding content that they want removed from, of course, both Facebook and Instagram because they own both of them. Remember, the Oversight Board was introduced in October of 2020, and they said this was going to be an objective solution to their content moderation problem. So, it was designed to provide disgruntled users with a way to challenge moderation oversteps of Facebook. And so now how it was first introduced was if you post something on Facebook or Instagram and it's taken down for violating any of Facebook's ever-changing rules on hate speech, nudity, misinformation, violence, you will soon have the ability to appeal that decision to someone besides Facebook.
So it was a defensive tool for content creators, basically.
Right.
It's how they position.
If you got dinged, they said, hey, this is a strike against you. You could appeal that to the committee or whatever.
Correct. So, now they are accepting appeals from users. You couldn't, but now you can. That's what they're.
Right. But let's put it in context. This is on the heels 2 weeks ago of Facebook announcing we're going to get rid of Facebook analytics. So just listen. We're no longer going to have Facebook analytics. We're no longer going to tell any corporation that advertises with us or you as a personal user who's in your tribe, what are they doing, who are you reaching, because you only reach 4% of your tribe, by the way, on Facebook, right? So they canceled that program. Facebook analytics is gone. Why? Because more nefarious things are going to happen. Now they put this facade, smoke and mirrors board in there that says, if you want to appeal to the board. Who's on the board? Who's on this board? For me, this is total smoke and mirrors. This is why, more important, why we need alternatives, why I will pound, why we do what we do with Free Space and Skylab and Dean Gray and the guys. We need alternatives where it's transparent, because transparency is being choked while cancel culture is going through the roof. You've got people being canceled from banking right now.
Yeah,
banking.
It's incredible.
Okay, so you can't tell me that this is for good, Jason. I don't believe it for a second. When you take your analytics department and you say we will no longer share with an advertiser or a personal individual that, hey, this is your tribe and who you're reaching, but then you're going to tell me that you care if I've got an appeal? Bogus. Absolute nonsense.
Jason. What do you think about that, Jason?
Oh, I agree. This is exactly pretty much the same issue that we had with the algorithm. So basically, you could get a bunch of people. They would get those leftist mobs, online, and they would all coordinate and say, let's all go after this one tweet from Sarah Gonzalez. That would tick off the algorithm.
Which they've done.
And then they would give her a strike. Yeah. And I think actually a person would look at it and go, yeah, she ticked up, and let's suspend her for a week or whatever. I bet that's happened multiple times.
I have not actually gotten suspended. Not yet.
So now what you're doing is
I get the reports, though.
You're allowing, again, the same mob to all organize together and go after people that they don't like, things that they don't agree with. It's the exact same thing.
Yeah. All right, really quickly, before we have to go, Amazon pulled a second book critical of transgender identity theory from its online stores this week. Obviously, it's moving to silence one side of the LGBT issue. This was Maria Keffler's Desist, Detrans, and Detox, Getting Your Child Out of the Gender Cult. It was just newly released. It had sold less than 100 copies across 3 platforms, and it got less than a dozen Amazon reviews. And they pulled it, and they gave no contact, no warning, no reason before pulling the book. So this was not the first one. And by the way, in case you're wondering, you can still get Mein Kampf on Amazon. You can still just order that. I bet you can get 2-day Prime shipping with it. But Desist, Detrans, and Detox, getting your child out of the gender cult. No, 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 you are not allowed to consume that material. It is too dangerous and too hateful.
You know what? And why is Mein Kampf still on there? It's still on there because you can learn. Yeah, there's going to be some radicals that see that and they use it as like a Bible. But then you have the vast majority of people, or another group of people, that they see that and they're going to want to read it to see how much further we've come in society. Or how did a small group of people in Germany, how are they able to hypnotize the entire country? Now there is value in something like that. That's why you don't tear down all the statues. It's a symbol of this is how bad it was, right? This is how stupid we were, and we will never do that again. Now, this is a book about transgenderism that's not illegal. It didn't call for anything violent against anybody. It was purely informational. They're ideas, and there's probably a bunch of scientific facts in there as well. But they're pulling that because they don't agree with it. That's absolutely ridiculous.
Jason, it's a counter argument.
Yeah.
It's a counter argument, right? So even for
Can't
those
have
who,
that.
it's a counter argument, and right there,
But they're
it's disqualified.
But they love science, I thought.
Oh yeah,
They are
the
they
word.
are the
Remember
party of
the
science.
word, not the actual science. Just the word science.
Right.
They just
Apply it
they
to
take
whatever
the word
they-
"I love you" and then they stab you in the back. Right? It's just a word. No, it's a counter argument. And unfortunately, if you really see what's happening in the school system and how they're pushing all this stuff, they will cancel any counter argument because they're deathly afraid of truth. Deathly afraid.
So dangerous. How long before Thomas Sowell books are? That's a huge counter argument to the left. How long before those are gone? Milton Friedman. How long before those are gone?
I'm
It just
shocked
keeps
that
and
they
keeps on
aren't
going.
yet.
You know, I think ebooks. Amazon corners about 80 to 90% of the market on, and pretty much all of us just read on e-reader now.
Yeah.
80% and up.
Yeah.
Now you're getting dangerously close to being declared a utility at some point.
53% of physical books, 80% of ebooks.
That's insane.
Yeah.
So most of the market,
To me,
Yeah.
that
vast
is a
majority of the
utility.
market.
Yeah.
Did you read Clarence Thomas's framework that he wrote up? I mean, this was like a couple weeks ago.
Oh, yes, yes.
I mean, he wrote the framework.
Yes.
It could just be handed and delivered to Congress if they care to do anything. I don't think either side will do a damn
they
thing.
won't.
No, they
they
won't.
won't. No, especially Republicans, if they were going to do it, they would have already.
Exactly.
Before.
Yeah. And and I am pretty much pretty much as libertarian as it gets on these stuff. But I'm sorry, that's pretty much a monopoly right there.
Yeah,
There is no way for anyone to compete with that.
Yeah.
All right, back in a minute. Although we don't really want the Democrats creating the rules, probably.
No.
We just-
exactly.
Well, you were not on my show yesterday, Jaco.
No.
But it was your birthday.
Yes.
And we wanted to say happy birthday.
Hey.
Thank
I
you,
will not be
Sarah.
singing the song for you by myself, but we did bring some cupcakes.
Really?
Yes. Because you are a huge friend of
thank
the
you so
program.
much.
You are part of our family, and we missed you yesterday. So happy
I
birthday.
appreciate it. Thanks. I could be with my family yesterday. It's amazing. And celebrate with Jason. But I can now say that I've had cupcakes with intellectuals who are not part of the
Whoa,
camp.
not Jason. You're not including him in that,
Yes,
are you?
I do, bro.
Oh.
Yeah, come on.
Oh.
Yeah.
Somebody's
Can I
gotta
blow
get
it out on the
somebody.
show?
Yes, please blow it out. Yay. So happy
Thank
birthday.
you very much.
Very, very happy birthday.
birthday.
And you pick which one you want. Probably the one that you spit on right there.
Yes.
I'm kidding. And then don't forget, if you have not yet gone to review the audio podcast, make sure that you do that. If you leave us a nice review, you could see your review read live on air. We've got one today from Hazel Ava, who says, so freaking good, 5 stars, love Sarah, such a good show, but y'all are kind of scary, giving me the hard truth, with a laughing emoji. So we know. But that's the thing, is that we give you the truth, but we make you laugh about it. Because, I mean, it's better to laugh than cry, which is really where we're at. It's just everything that happens in 2020, we're like, maybe 2021 is going to be better. Oh, no, it's not. Okay, let's just laugh so we don't cry.
Like vaccine
and that's why we're
tattoo,
here.
tramp stamp.
Exactly. Will you go ahead and get that, Jason? I will not be joining you with that one.